new fallout? Who took a route out? Fans scream loud, make the show proud. Big moves, pay-per-views, breaking all the news. Scandals revealed, deals sealed, who'll be healed? Trash talkers, night stalkers, ring walkers. Next big match, can't scratch this batch. Turn it up, the Angle Show, here we go. Rumor mill spin, every little sin. What's the new fallout?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ango Show. We are live. It is January 21st, 2025. The show has a new look, a new branding, a new package. And we are live. We're going to talk a little bit about WWE Raw. We're going to talk a little bit about AEW. We're going to talk a little bit about everything because pro wrestling is what we talk about. And I am here joined by Billy TKO. You guys can watch him. He's also live on his channel as well. We are simulcasting between the two. Yesterday, we went head-to-head with the 60th presidential inauguration. Man, it feels good to be part of the Ango Club because what a win for us. We dominated on all the metrics, the most engaged show, more viewers, and we beat out Fox and CNN and everybody else. And wow,
we had a high rating, dude. It was like 1,000,007. I think that was the total number that I got.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So shout out to us, pat on the back.
Dude, give yourself a nice little pat.
It was fun, but we're live and we're gonna talk obviously about WWE Raw. And we're going to engage with the chat. So obviously, if you guys are in the chat, you guys are talking, we're going to engage with you guys. As always, members will always get higher priority. Super chats will always get read. We do have a goal of 5 super chats today. So if you guys want to contribute to the show, it guarantees that your questions or comments will get read on the show. And then, of course, once we hit our super chat goal, you guys know the deal at this point. The graphic goes up, and we'll do our special shout outs at the end. Shout out to everybody joining us today. We have a new member on the channel. Mojo Dojo has joined the job squad. So shout out to Mojo Dojo. Appreciate you. Just a couple shout outs in the chat. Big Hero Chris is here. Curvin is here. Chester Franklin, Mike, Laws, David Decker, Anthony Oderwall, Luke Newman. What's up, guys? Justin Pennington. Everybody's here. Let's go.
Let's go. The chat popping, man.
All right, man. Billy, you know the deal. Monday Night Raw, it was last night. We made a deal. We made like a little contest. Well, it's
yeah.
So
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. What happened?
I was off by a long shot. I said what? 2 hours and 7 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, long shot. Okay. I wasn't far off.
Yeah.
But you were much closer than I were. What did you say? 2:45?
Yeah, it was 2:37, I think.
Is that when it went off? You said 2:37. You said it'd go 2 hours and 37 minutes.
Yeah, some shit like that.
And you were 2 minutes off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it went off at what, like 10:35 Eastern Standard?
Something like that, right?
Yeah, you were much closer than me. So I don't know, Ango. You're a genius. Is that what you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
No.
That's what I want to hear.
Too bad. That sucks. I'm not telling you.
Oh, okay. Well, Raw yesterday, in my opinion, was really... My opinion on Raw was that it was a pretty solid episode. I have a gripe within the women's division, so we'll talk about that.
Yep.
Tolino channel dropping 40 rupees to kick us off on the super chats. Penta in the banger division, road to IC title. Yes. Oh, and I can't wait to talk about Penta because boy is WWE making AEW look dumb.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, and then WWE has also teased Aleister Black, which I'm super excited about.
I knew we were gonna talk about that.
We're going to talk
fun.
about that. That's going to be definitely worth talking about. So I want to just kind of kick things off, Billy. First and foremost, what is your opinion on Raw? What did you like about Raw? What did you dislike about Raw? How was your feeling about Raw now that this is the third episode of Raw on Netflix?
Well, I think we're starting to set in now. That's what it feels like. It feels like we're setting into this Netflix era. Things are moving naturally. Things are moving smoothly. It's going good. It looks like they're utilizing that time slot and they're doing whatever they want with it, right? They're ending whenever they want. They're not saying, hey, this is when we're ending. This is how the show is going to go. They're just going as long as they need to, which I'm a fan of. I like it because I get to bed, 11 o'clock at the latest instead of, something like 11:30. So that's nice. But on top of Raw just itself, I mean, it was a great show, dude. I think it did everything that it was supposed to do. You got some really good wrestling and you got extended storytelling. And I think that's important going forward right now. Obviously, the one thing I felt wrestling was missing the past couple years was kind of like the excitement behind the Royal Rumble and how like the you never know aspect. And I think WWE is doing a really good job at telling stories right now with those you never know what can happen aspects. Because it's like, oh, Sammy can turn on Seth. Seth can turn on Sammy. Kevin Owens is asking Sammy to get involved. Drew McIntyre. It's like there's so many different variables. And I'm just a huge fan of all the storytelling going on around the Royal Rumble.
Yes, I agree. I do want to say I do think they're doing a lot better with the men's Royal Rumble than the women's Royal Rumble.
For sure.
I definitely think they are struggling promoting this women's Royal Rumble as a big deal the way they have with this men's Royal Rumble. When you see Drew McIntyre and Punk and Cena and all of these big names that are in the men's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It feels like, in my opinion, this Royal Rumble is far more stacked than the women's. And there's definitely more emphasis on the stories going into the men's Royal Rumble. Which, listen, the men's Royal Rumble, sometimes you don't even get surprises. We've gone a couple of years where we don't get surprises. This year might be the year that we don't see any big surprises for the men, but maybe we get more for the women. I don't know. But I do have a problem, unfortunately, with the way that they've with the way WWE is building this women's division. Like, they got the names, they got the talent, they got the people, like they got a lot, but the emphasis isn't necessarily there as much as it is on the men's side. And, like I said, we'll talk about the women's booking too, but I definitely agree. Like, as far as the Royal Rumble goes, we are very, very deep. We are very, very deep.
I mean, we're 2 weeks away from this thing.
I mean, last night, my main impression that I got off of Raw, which I thought this was a very, very solid Raw, but my impression when we see like the WrestleMania rematch with Drew and Seth, and then we see the haluva kick come from Sammy, we're also seeing Karrion Kross creep backstage on some of these guys.
Yeah.
We're in for a real treat. Like, for sure, without a doubt, we are in for a real treat when it comes to some of the stories that are going to come after Royal Rumble as well.
For sure.
I'm excited for the Royal Rumble this year.
Yeah, me too.
I think the Royal Rumble is going to be very good. It's very stacked. However, I do have one issue with the men's Royal Rumble.
And what's that? What's your gripe?
My gripe with the men's Royal Rumble is that all the focus will be on some of these key names that we're already seeing on TV. Meaning,
instead of like somebody on a lower scale not being able to go further.
So, for example, like, one of my biggest things I don't like is when it becomes a little too predictable. And right now, WWE is kind of showing their cards a little bit with the they're showing their cards a little bit with, like, okay, well, Sammy and Seth and Drew, Cena, Roman Reigns, Punk, like, all of these top names are in the Royal Rumble, and I feel like when it comes down to like the bottom 6 or the bottom 4, it's gonna be one of those guys. Meaning, we're going to have a whole bunch of random people enter the Royal Rumble. It might be Santos Escobar or Karrion Kross, and then some of those guys might just get eliminated and they're just a placeholder.
See, I feel a little bit different.
What do you think?
So I think, like, somebody like Karrion Kross, and I know you just used him as somewhat of an example. I don't know, dude. Like, honestly, like, seeing what Karrion Kross is doing on TV right now, I wouldn't be shocked if he goes deep in the Rumble. Now, do I agree with you under the circumstance? Like, it probably will be those big names that kind of last to, like, the final for sure. I think that's just naturally going to happen. But I think that's, you kind of almost need that to happen strictly based off the stories you've been telling. Because let's be real, I mean, the shock factor behind the Royal Rumble is definitely not what it used to be. I mean, we talked about like the surprises and stuff like that, but I think even just the match itself and like let's be real here. How do you think the fans would react if somebody like Santos right now won the Royal Rumble? That's a question towards you.
I think how I would react and how the fans would react would be differently because it would be random as hell. I would appreciate it. I would love a random ass Royal Rumble winner. I don't want my Royal Rumble winner to be the same people that it always is. You know what I mean? So
for sure. But then you have to take into account like somebody like CM Punk who's never actually won a Rumble. So regardless, if you want, I mean, it's not as shocking, but it is in the same time because it's like, oh, that guy never won it, and he's been around for such a long time, and that guy never won the Royal Rumble. Really?
Can I say something though?
Yeah, for sure.
I've this is where people are probably gonna like not agree with me and shit, and that's fine. But I feel like, personally speaking, the Royal Rumble should never be used for a veteran. I never agreed with the concept. Royal Rumbles, King of the Ring, Money in the Banks, Elimination Chamber, like those matches that guarantee like a major opportunity. I feel like those should always be saved for people. John Cena and CM Punk have the name, brand, and value alone where they don't need to win the Royal Rumble. And people forget that you can challenge Roman Reigns or you can challenge Gunther. And I think this year would be really cool for the winner to go after Gunther.
Yeah, which I think is actually going to happen.
But everybody in the IWC is under the belief that it's going to be Cody going after, or John Cena winning and going after Cody. And like,
yeah,
John Cena doesn't need to do that. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. Like for me personally, I'm not trying to be like a complainer, but holy shit. Like to a certain extent, I do feel like, they got to do something like.
Well, for sure. I hear you and like the veteran stuff and you saying the King of the Ring and whatnot. And I think for quite some time, that's kind of been the case. If you look at Gunther and the way he was utilized in the King of the Ring this last time around, the Elimination Chamber has always kind of been used to potentially build somebody into a really big feud. If you look, let's take Kofi Mania, for example. Those matches do that. I think the Royal Rumble is really the one thing that has always been prioritized around the main event stars, right? I think if you look back at the history of the Rumble, it's always been to make sure that the main event is set and it makes sense.
My brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm cutting you the fuck off.
Go ahead.
Because these are people who are already stars.
The thing is, though, like, okay, I hear you, but the Elimination Chamber happens a month after. So, with that being said, you're trying to tell me that, okay, we're gonna start, and we're gonna make sure that one of the main events is set with potentially the Royal Rumble, and it's some random ass winner, right? We go into the Elimination Chamber, and then what? They're challenging for another title shot, and what you just said a moment ago was that, hey, I don't think that these stars should be utilized in the Elimination Chamber, the King of the Ring, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what do you want? None of these veteran stars to have a shot at the title like they need to?
Okay, so then split it up. Let the winner of the Royal Rumble become a young up-and-coming talent, and let the Elimination Chamber be 6 individuals who are completely stacked. Make that Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus John Cena versus Kevin Owens.
What you can do. You can do that.
That's
I wouldn't be mad at that.
I'd rather have that happen then. But you gotta, at the very minimum, Elimination Chamber, by the way, should just be a match type. It shouldn't be a freaking pay-per-view event. I think it's stupid. They should just call it the pay-per-view, No Way Out, and then have 2 Elimination Chamber matches, and that's it.
Yeah, that I can agree with.
I'm tired of this shit. But like, yeah, 100% the Royal Rumble should be the thing where, hey, somebody shocks the world and completely does it.
Well,
And
and let's be real here. That hasn't happened since Rey Mysterio in 2006.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. When Shinsuke Nakamura won the Royal
I was
Rumble,
about to say
shocked.
Shinsuke. I was about to say Shinsuke, and yeah, okay,
That
all
was
right,
shocking.
that's
But then
fair.
that went on to WrestleMania 34.
Yeah, I mean,
or
look
whatever,
at how bad that was.
But we're talking about a different booker now, so it's like
This is true. This is true.
a different
This is
booker.
true.
Triple H should know a little bit better here. And I'm just saying, listen, I'm just saying, you're gonna do tournaments, you're gonna do all these different things, you're gonna do, you're gonna do the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble should always be saved for creating a new star. And the thing is, what this Royal Rumble needs, at the very, very minimum, what I would do, if I would be 100% honest with you,
Mhm.
I think maybe this is the Royal Rumble with Roman Reigns is in there. I would actually love to see them recreate the Maven Undertaker spot with somebody.
Oh
in
yeah,
Roman
where
Reigns.
somebody's shocking it. Yeah.
And then I would love for that to turn into a program for Roman Reigns, which maybe this could be the time where they have Jacob Fatu be the guy who eliminates Roman Reigns or something.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be as shocking though, because a lot of people would expect that. You know, the cool thing about that Maven Undertaker thing is nobody expected Maven to throw him over the top rope.
Brother, I don't think people would expect Jacob Fatu to throw out Roman Reigns.
I'd have to disagree with you because I feel like the trajectory that Jacob Fatu is on only speaks to him and Roman potentially feuding. So that would be the most least shocking thing to me.
Okay, so maybe the most shocking would be grabbing fucking Tozawa, throwing Roman Reigns out of the fucking ring. And
that would get me. That would pop me.
Yeah, it would pop you, but it would lead to nothing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Tozawa's been completely, like, if you go look at his work in Japan versus what it is in America, Tozawa, he's been relegated to a comedy gimmick, and he's probably not even going to be.
Yeah, but that dude was amazing.
But Tozawa could go, even when he was in 205 Live, like that guy can go. But he was never really given the seriousness that he should have, and that's WWE's fault, and that continues to be WWE's fault. But it is what it is. There is a couple super chats that I would like to address. Myra dropped a $4.99. The men's Royal Rumble is finally stepping it up. Layers of storylines. Did Drew forget about Jay and the WWE marketing machine behind Penta? So this is the truth about the Royal Rumble. This is where I do agree with you, and obviously I agree with Myra here. Like I appreciate the fact that there's this many layers going into the Royal Rumble. This Royal Rumble specifically is, and I remember talking to you about this last year about the Royal Rumble, but Royal Rumble should always have stories integrated into the match. And this is one where I think across all sectors of the match, there's definitely going to be some heavy layers into it.
For sure. Even when you look at like the smaller stuff, with the Karrion Crosses and the Santos Escobars, like their storylines will be played out. You got to think somebody like Carmelo Hayes entering, that whole United States picture. Like I think there's going to be a lot of stories being told in this Rumble, more than just the main event.
Yes, I do agree with that. One thing I do want to point out too that I think will be pretty badass, and this is probably the thing that I get excited about a little bit more than most people. But with this particular Royal Rumble, we know that there's going to be the ladder match between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
Now, obviously, Kevin Owens showed up on Raw last night, and he confronted Sami Zayn, and he's trying to be manipulative to Sami Zayn, And I feel like when Sami doesn't have Kevin's back at Royal Rumble, and when Sami doesn't have Kevin's back at all, that's going to prompt Kevin Owens getting involved in the Royal Rumble and throwing Sami Zayn out.
So do you think we see these guys wrestling at WrestleMania?
I've been predicting it for over a year now.
Yeah,
I've already had a roadmap. You guys could go back in my old streams, and I've told you the roadmap several times. Kevin Owens is just a placeholder for the Cody feud, but eventually it's going to lead to him and Sami going to WrestleMania. Triple H needs to do that as a singles match because both of their stories in the last 4 years intertwine to this exact moment. It's a little bit different than Kevin and Sami just being best friends breaking up. It now becomes Kevin Owens being in a very different
Sammy's teamed with Roman. I mean, there's so many layers to this story now.
So many layers that I just think it takes it to the next level. I do want to address that super chat as well. Myra says the marketing machine behind Penta, and we'll talk a little bit more about Penta today on the stream. But I am very, very impressed with how WWE has managed this push so far. A lot of people are like, upset that he went up against Pete Dunne. I remember watching him fight Pete Dunne in the Indies which was an absolute banger. I love the fact that he's
Yeah,
fighting Pete Dunne on Raw.
Didn't Michael Cole mention that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was insane. He said they fought in Rev Pro.
Was it Rev Pro or Progress? It was one of them.
I think it was Rev Pro.
But yeah, like acknowledging it, and the thing about Penta and Pete Dunne is they went out there and had a great match. But it's not just that they had a great match; it's the WWE is clearly behind Penta.
Oh, dude, it's insane now.
It's like
Triple H figured it out. I mean, Triple H is sitting there doing the hand gesture and stuff like that. I mean, they're figuring it out.
I think what people need to realize more with the Penta situation is, I mean, marketing has to be behind him for sure.
For sure, yeah.
And it's not like you have to throw him. Like, I'm going to give you the biggest difference between AEW, like the biggest difference between AEW and WWE, right? Is like, people hate to admit this, but it's true. Like, people will debut on Dynamite, and a couple weeks after, they're either wrestling on Collision or they're wrestling on Rampage. They kind of get tucked away, and then eventually they get brought back. This was a perfect example with like Deonna Purrazzo coming in. It was a big deal. She left TNA, and then she comes into AEW. She loses pretty much all momentum. Nothing really happens. Compare that situation to how WWE brings in Penta. It's not like Penta needs to be fighting for the world championship or building some massive program, but really what needs to be happening is, hey, we signed Penta. We're going to give you vignettes. We're going to put him on TV. By the way, we're going to release his merch and push his merch. By the way, the next week that he's going to wrestle, we're going to make sure that he also gets to retain some of that stuff that we've already put behind him. Now, obviously, it's too early to see what WWE is going to do with Penta, but at least they're doing something with him. And that's important. You have to put people on TV, and you got to put them every week. If you remove them one week or the next week completely from the show with no mention, no video package, no backstage segment, if they're just not there and there's no acknowledgement of that person, it sounds like you've given up. So when people get mad that I complain about AEW and how they utilize talent, it's not because I think, oh my God, WWE does it better. It's just WWE does it the right way. You put them on TV. If Penta does not show up on Raw next week and has a match, you know what they need to do? A backstage segment or a vignette. Simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Very simple.
It's crazy. But yes, Myra, you are absolutely right. The marketing machine is behind Penta. We're going to talk more about Penta in just a little bit. Shout out to Myra for the $4.99. We got another super chat from Zachary for $4.99. He says, I want the Royal Rumble to be unpredictable. Let Carmelo Hayes win. Someone new. Doesn't even have to win at WrestleMania. Just create a new main event star in growth. And see, that's the thing. Maybe, I don't think WWE will do this, but maybe instead of Jacob Fatu throwing out Roman Reigns, maybe you have Carmelo Hayes do it, which actually works very well with Carmelo Hayes' character and his gimmick and his mentality about things.
I'm him.
Yeah. That would be some really great content for SmackDown.
See, Zachary, that's one I can get behind. I see a lot of people in the chat saying like, oh, maybe it's too soon. Maybe it's too soon. Well, who defines that? Who defines that thought of when a wrestler is like, oh, it's too soon for this wrestler. He's not ready. Who defines that besides somebody like Triple H? Like, I see a lot of us critiquing a lot of these people and often, saying like, oh, well, maybe it's not the time for them now. Well, then no new stars are going to be created and it's going to take forever. So we should probably get on top of it now. So I don't think it's too soon at all. I think I agree with Zachary here. If you want to shock the system, technically. Oh, I'm frozen a little bit.
Yeah.
Hold up. We're going to fix this problem real fast.
So we're going to wait for him to be unfrozen. For sure. But no, I mean, Billy is right, though. That is true. Billy is right. I mean, and Zachary's right, too. This is the moment to really... You gotta try things differently. You gotta be different. You gotta shock the world. Create stars, bro. You have to create stars. And I'm so tired of this whole thing where in professional wrestling, the main objective, like obviously you want to push your top stars and you want them to be relevant and all this stuff, but I really, really, really want new stars to be created. And that's the way to do it. Honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's 100% the way to do it. So, I feel like we have been in a position right now where for sure, like this is the way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, Billy keeps
Absolutely.
freezing. I'm not sure why Billy keeps freezing, so we'll go back to single frame.
Yeah, just go back to single frame for now.
Shout out to Zachary for the $4.99. 100% agree with you, my boy. I think that's like very well said. You got to create stars, bro. And Carmelo Hayes is going to be a future star in the company anyways. So when that time is right and when the time is there, that's what you're going to do. I am tired of seeing AEW and WWE not focusing on that. I think you got to focus on those things. If you're not going to focus on those things, then what the fuck is the point of putting on a wrestling show? Because Roman Reigns and John Cena and Randy Orton and all these guys aren't going to be, Randy Orton will be in the Royal Rumble. I'm sure that's when he's going to return and do some stuff. But, and maybe he goes after Kevin Owens, right? Or, like that's a storyline that's still being waiting to be told. There's a lot of things that could be done. But at the end of the day, the focus should be building somebody up, and that's probably the most important. So for sure, shout out to Tata Edmondson.
Adam78 super chatted $5. I wouldn't be surprised if Breakker dropped IC title at Saturday main event to have them go on and win RR.
So Adam78 dropping a $5 super chat. I wouldn't be surprised if Breakker dropped the IC title at Saturday night's main event to have him go on and win Royal Rumble. Like, I would be cool with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
Sheamus winning the Intercontinental Championship tells me a couple things. We get more bangers between Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser, Chad Gable, Penta. Like,
I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad. Let's make that World Heavyweight Championship division stronger.
And if Braun Breaker wins the Royal Rumble, the first thing I'd be doing is going after Gunther. Why? Because he is one of the few people in the company who have beaten Gunther.
Right. So, it makes sense.
And then what's cool is the Elimination Chamber. Stack that shit up, bro. Stack that shit up. Roman, Cody, Randy, Owens.
The whole nine. Stacking.
Yeah. That's what
I agree with that. I like that super chat.
Great comment, Adam78. Appreciate it. There was another super chat from Tolino Channel for 40 rupees. Again, Rhea needs a fresh opponent, Io Sky or any rookie. Let's talk a little bit about Rhea Ripley. Because this was the part... this was the part of Raw that I was not necessarily happy with. I'm watching Rhea Ripley in a feud with Nia Jax. Saturday night's main event. We couldn't do anything better than this, WWE. Like, we couldn't do anything better than this for Rhea after getting the belt back from Liv. Like, we couldn't build this to something. I don't know. A SmackDown superstar is crossing over into Raw, having a match with Bayley.
And it's Nia Jax out of all of them.
I love Nia Jax. She has improved immensely since returning under the Triple H era. There's a reason why
we're seeing a lot of her.
But what is the point of her going after Rhea Ripley? What is the point of this? I 100% agree. They need to freshen things up here. What is the solution, Billy?
You got to take some of them NXT women, bring them in. I mean, that women's division, it's a strong division. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of it is focused elsewhere, though. You know what I mean? Like, let's take Dakota Kai and Io Sky right now. Like, they're in a tag team match against Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. Why aren't we freshening those names up in the singles division? Shayna Baszler, for instance. I mean, I know she's just been killed off numerous times, but she's a fierce competitor. Make her a fierce competitor again. You know what I mean? Make her serious again. Zoe Stark is another person that you could make serious. Dakota Kai, she just fought for the Intercontinental Championship, and then the following week on Raw, she's in a tag team match that essentially means nothing. Make her big. Make her go out and earn something again. Just because she lost, you don't have to remove her from that singles competition. Same with Io Sky. I don't know. It feels like, with the whole factions and stuff on like Monday Night Raw and stuff like that, at least, it's just kind of gotten dried out a little bit in the women's division. Let them women go out and face for the championships. You have the Women's Intercontinental Championship now. You have the Women's World Heavyweight Championship now. Obviously, the Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley thing is played out. The Raquel Gonzalez's of the world, or Raquel Rodriguez, whatever. You have those of the world. Like, there's numerous things that you can do to fix that division, but something. And here's the thing is, I know Triple H loves that women's division, right? He loves that women's division. And he's put a lot of work in to fix it. I think that's fair. But you cannot just rely on, quote unquote, all reliable, right? all reliable as the Nia Jaxes of the world, the Becky Lynches of the world, the Charlotte Flairs of the world. You have to go out and you have to try to fix this division internally. You can't look to NXT to bring in a newcomer to eventually have, somebody come and hopefully take the reign right away. You have stars internally that are ready and are willing to probably go and do that work. Just utilize them. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. There is a major problem in the women's division on WWE Raw. I mean, it's simple as that. Rhea Ripley gets the belt from Liv Morgan. There should be fresh feuds, and I understand that Rhea is going to retain and probably go into WrestleMania. And who knows, maybe in the women's Royal Rumble, we have a situation where Charlotte goes on to win and challenge Rhea, or maybe she goes to challenge Tiffany Stratton, or whatever the situation may be. But we need something fresh for Rhea Ripley at this time, and we're not getting it. And I think that is very problematic. And you also have the women's Intercontinental Championship, which I'm happy that Lyra Valkyria won that, and I'm very happy that Lyra Valkyria is there. Maybe you could build a storyline between Lyra and Rhea, and obviously there's things you can do, but the women's division on Raw needs to be freshed up. You got to start either doing this transfer portal the right way. It doesn't make sense for Nia Jax to be Rhea Ripley's opponent at Saturday night's main event. It's honestly pretty lazy booking, in my opinion. And for as much as I love WWE, look at the SmackDown women's division, look at the NXT women's division, and the emphasis that the women are getting there, and the logic and the booking and everything there, and compare it to Raw, and Raw just genuinely looks bad. And in my personal opinion, I think it's really important that Triple H fixes that, because Raw is the flagship show on Netflix. Rhea Ripley is a crowd favorite, but guess what? People will fall, and I'm telling you, people will 100% turn on Rhea Ripley if WWE doesn't figure this out. If they cannot give her respected opponents, fresh opponents, WWE is dropping the ball. No matter how great Rhea Ripley is, it's not her responsibility to be dealt a bad hand, because there's not enough fresh challengers. And I promise you, once WWE fixes that and they acknowledge that, you are going to see a whole different thing happen when it comes to the future of WWE Raw and their women's division. Until then, you got Julia, you got Stephanie Vaquer, you got Zarya, you got a lot of people in NXT out there that you could bring up. But just bringing them up isn't a solution, because now you hurt NXT. So you got to do it from within the mid-card, building them up the same way that they've built up Braun Breaker and Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser and Chad Gable and all these guys in the men's mid-card division. Simple as that.
Yeah, first off, before I continue, guys, I want to apologize about my camera because it just froze again. It's the cord. That's all it is. I'm just going to bring a new cord tomorrow and go get me out of the frame.
Sounds good, Billy. Appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely.
We were trying to figure that out because lately his stuff is just,
it's the moving around, but I'm here to tell you it's the cord. The cord for my webcam here is just not happening. So the more super chats you guys drop, the more maybe I can go out and get a cord or something.
Would you look at that? Speaking of super chats, Zachary dropped another one for $4.99. He says Penta versus Mello, let them square off at the Royal Rumble, have someone else eliminate them, then it leads to a best of 7 at WrestleMania. Mello is the king of best of 7 matches. Yeah, I mean, I want to see some important matches on the WrestleMania card that don't necessarily involve a title. Penta versus Mello is an interesting direction, considering that it is a Raw superstar versus a SmackDown superstar. But maybe what I would do if I were WWE, they do these gimmicky things with the Crown Jewel Championship, champion versus champion, who's the best. Why not have like something for the mid card? Not a title belt, maybe a trophy, I don't know, but not a title belt for sure. But something where at WrestleMania it's a showcase between rising stars from Raw versus SmackDown. And it's a one-on-one singles match. And maybe this is the way you set it up in the Royal Rumble. Like, that would be kind of cool. I don't think WWE is doing what I'm saying, but I think something like that would be a fresh idea and something cool. Penta and Carmelo would be an absolute slapper. So
I agree.
Yeah. True Styles, welcome to the Job Squad. Thank you for joining the channel, my friend. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. We also got a super chat from Tolino channel, another 40 rupees. Bailey versus Roxanne, veteran versus Prodigy, a good feud. And that could be perfect for Bailey at WrestleMania. I don't know if they're going to wait till WrestleMania, but
they're building something there.
They are 100% building something there. So that is a possibility for sure. And listen, the way I look at this 100% is Roxanne will probably have to go over Bailey, but
Yes.
maybe that
I
just
mean,
confirms. Maybe this happens before WrestleMania, and then we get AJ Lee to go after Roxanne. You know, I'd be down for something like that too.
hey, listen, you can bring back AJ Lee. I'd be happy.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
I wouldn't
sick.
be
Huh?
opposed to it. I would not be opposed to it.
Definitely would be sick. Oh, look, Billy's back on camera. Woo!
Oh,
Sick.
am I back? Am I
Yeah.
back?
Hey, if you stay
Oh,
frozen,
dude.
it's okay. If you stay frozen, we're gonna just keep you frozen.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't care.
Shout out to Tolino Channel. Shout out to everybody. Oh my God, would you look at that?
Oh my God.
Shout out to everybody dropping their super chats. Definitely appreciated. So thank you guys for your support. That doesn't mean stop. If you guys want to keep going, keep going. But we've hit our goal, and that's always appreciated. And I love you guys all. Love this comment that I just saw in the chat from Curvin. He says, "Don't be surprised if Roxanne eliminated Bailey. That would be good." So like
that would be really good.
So if Roxanne eliminated Bailey from the Royal Rumble, then that's how you set up their feud even further. Because now they're just planting the seeds, you know. And obviously, I'm sure Bailey will be on NXT tonight, and they'll figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like that comment. I thought that would be really cool.
That is a good one.
So let's talk about one thing that I absolutely loved about Raw. And that is the devil behind the scenes, Karrion Kross.
What a guy.
Everybody he interacts with, he just changes them. He changes them. And
Man,
Sami
Zayn, he does everything.
Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins are they got Karrion Kross in the shadows. So Billy, walk me through this. Talk to me about this. What's your reaction to this? What do you think this is going to lead to? Maybe your own fantasy booking. What do you got for me?
So I think ultimately it's going to lead to Seth's heel turn, right? I think we've already seen a lot of signs there that point to Seth turning heel. I think Karrion Kross is just kind of the factor that leads behind it, because anything that Karrion Kross touches turns to darkness.
Yeah.
Literally. But if I were to go about booking it myself, I would actually get Karrion Kross more involved with Seth to tell the story a little bit, because they've only had a couple interactions.
Very few.
Very, very few from my understanding. I would actually kind of get Karrion Kross more involved, and I would do so by potentially having him, maybe I wouldn't say throw Seth out of the Rumble, but make Seth question himself in the Rumble, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, continue.
I just think that would be like the best way to have Karrion build his character, is inside of matches, get in people's heads. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not just through the way that they're doing it right now, but also in the matches themselves, get in their heads.
Yeah. So the thing that I like about the Karrion Kross thing is that, yes, everybody he does interact with, they turn to darkness. The New Day is a perfect example of this. Even to a certain extent, the whole layers that he's done with The Miz has been really, really good. And I love this because it doesn't mean that Karrion Kross needs to be wrestling every single week, but he's an imperative part to WWE Raw, right? There's a lot there that I think it just eventually, when his time is right, he's going to deliver such great content for WWE, because I do think eventually they will get him to go up. So
like for the World Championship?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I can agree. I
think at some point it's going to happen. And I think when it happens, people will actually be on board, because everything he's doing right now is what the devil would do. The devil is working hard. And listen, at the end of the day, the good always beats evil, right? So when Karrion Kross does this and he's lurking in the background of everybody, I mean, all he's really doing is setting aside everybody. He's creating such a chaos for everybody that eventually it's leading to his own path to the very top. And that's the thing that's very interesting about this level of storytelling, is that eventually it will lead to that.
Because the bad guy always has to get to the top.
And what is he doing? Sami Zayn is going to have problems now, and Seth Rollins is going to have problems now. These are guys that are in the mix for the world championship, right? So eventually these guys are going to get spread to the side. They're going to get moved to the side, and then Karrion Kross is going to be the opportunist that goes for it. And then what's really cool about that is, me being the good man that I am, and I fully believe that good always trumps evil, Karrion Kross will eventually become the world champion. But what could really happen from there is that the next step would be having somebody break through as a babyface. And when good beats evil, everybody rejoices. And I love the idea of, hey, this could be a really cool way for, maybe it's maybe Karrion Kross eventually becomes world champion, and then Chad Gable is the guy that finally gets his world championship. It's that opportunity that's definitely there, which I love.
For sure.
Definitely love that opportunity within storytelling. And that's kind of like how my reaction is to it. We got a couple super chats. Justin, I'm going to get to yours in a second because it's going to be a lengthy response. Tolino Channel dropped 40 rupees. Let me tell you, brother, Hogan got roasted in Texas. CM Punk.
I talked about that on TikTok.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about CM Punk, but basically on Netflix, they have these commercial breaks where they're doing like interviews, and CM Punk goes out there and he essentially just grabs the mic from Jackie Redmond, and he's talking about Hulk Hogan and throwing his dusty ass over the Royal Rumble, and the crowd went crazy about this. CM Punk is a legend. CM Punk knew exactly what he was doing, and
I gave him a name. He's the controversy king.
Yeah, but screw Hulk Hogan, so it's perfect.
Screw Hulk Hogan. Facts.
Yeah, that was funny.
Old ass. Throws dusty ass over the top rope.
Yeah, that was funny, bro.
The only thing he missed was the brother at the end. He said, "I'll finally kill off Hulkamania," and I thought he was gonna say brother,
but he didn't.
yeah.
I wonder if that was like planned or not, but they're in
Texas.
I
wonder too.
They're in Texas, it's interesting.
For sure.
That was funny though. Myra dropped a $4.99. She says, "Who said it best? You're only as great as your dance partner in the ring. Is the Raw women's division what the NXT men's division is?" Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. No, this is really what it is. I mean, there's apples to apples comparison. Obafemi doesn't really have legitimate challengers for the world championship, and Rhea Ripley doesn't have. Yeah. That is
very simple.
Perfect thinking right there.
Myra, that was fire.
It's true though. It is true.
It is.
It is true. They are struggling when it comes to creating that story. And listen, Becky Lynch isn't back yet, so we'll see what happens with Becky. But then we're playing it safe with Becky and Rhea. And by the way, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Give me something new. You gave me something new with Liv Morgan. Give me something new with somebody else. Dakota Kai, Zoe Stark, Sonya Deville. I don't care. Honestly, Shayna Baszler has been fucking underutilized her entire WWE run. And it fucking mind boggles me, bro. When she was in NXT, she's this badass.
She was the ace of spades.
And like, I don't know why they just, man, like if you're worried about Shayna Baszler not being able to cut a promo, give her a fucking mouthpiece and let her go out there and fucking wrestle Rhea Ripley. Because I want a legitimate badass, just like two of the women just fighting each other until they can't fight no more. And like, it would be something new and something fresh, and like, just give me something different, bro. Stop playing it safe. Sure. And I swear to God, WWE does this, AEW does this, but sometimes you just gotta fucking grow a pair of balls and fucking do something different. And I love WWE, but this is where WWE pisses me off, because it's always Bayley and Charlotte and Becky, and at one point it was
the same old thing. It's the same old thing every time.
And then it was cool because we finally got something different with Liv, and that all went well until it went too long, and eventually once it goes too long, it just got boring.
It was good till it wasn't. It was good till it wasn't.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was just not too thrilled about that shit, bro. But Myra, you said it best. It is 100% accurate. This is, especially every week I'm complaining about the men's main event scene in NXT. This is 100% apples to apples comparison. I absolutely love your comparison. Thank you for the super chat.
Fan of that one.
We did get the super chat from Justin Kennington. So Justin Kennington dropped a super chat for $1.99. He says, "What was the tease of Aleister Black on Raw?" And this was a very, very interesting thing that a lot of people may have not caught, but there was a backstage segment with Chad Gable, and he's got a luchador problem. And basically, this luchador problem it could be solved, which is really interesting because he is given a card, and basically, for those who don't know, the card was in fact the Dark Arts. What was it called again?
The Dark Arts. It was the Dark Arts of luchadors, or the dark. What was it?
It's like it's basically the name of Aleister Black and Zelina
Black's
Vega's
gym. Yes,
gym.
it's their gym. It's the Dark Arts wrestling gym or something like that.
Yeah. So, dude, Dominic Mysterio gives him this card, right?
Yep.
Why would he give Aleister Black, or why would he give Chad Gable Aleister Black's number, right?
Uh-huh.
But they were very specific and teasing.
Well, a lot of people thought it would potentially be Santos.
Now, why are they doing that?
That it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. This is the only thing that genuinely makes sense. But what well, I guess maybe the LWO potentially. I was about to say, like, what ties does Aleister Black have to Dominic Mysterio? And why would Dom know hey, this is the guy to call?
Because Zelina Vega.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. So what? Do you think they're going to pair Aleister with Zelina?
I mean, why not?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would not be opposed to it whatsoever.
Mike says it makes no sense unless Zelina is breaking away from Ray and LWO. Okay, but
well, that's what I think potentially could happen.
The LWO doesn't need to be a 9-person group. I know that's an exaggerative number, but it doesn't need to be this massive thing. The LWO literally could be Rey Mysterio and it could be Rey Mysterio and 2 guys or 3 guys. I don't know. Fucking, I don't know why you laughing.
What are their names? The 2 guys that are in there right now.
You already forgot?
Joaquin
Wilde.
Joaquin Wilde and
that's Joaquin Wilde and Cruz, Del Toro Cruz.
So Del Toro Cruz, thank you. And Dragon Lee's in there.
Dragon Lee, that's what I'm saying. But because you got to remember, Santos Escobar, Humberto Carrillo, and Garza, they're on SmackDown.
Yes.
But they're not in the LWO.
Right.
But obviously, when it comes to the LWO, like Zelina Vega could break off. And listen, if you want, like the LWO could be shortened or small. Like Zelina Vega doesn't need to be in there. What Zelina Vega really needs to do is break off anyways, because we got this mid card. We got this mid card on Raw with the women's division. Zelina Vega, Natalia, Lyra Valkyria, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Kari Sane. Like, there's a lot of women that could go for that Intercontinental Championship.
Yes.
Zelina Vega could definitely be there. But yeah, obviously, listen, we have this situation where Dominic Mysterio gives Chad Gable a card to deal with his situation, and it's he's got a luchador problem, and I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe like this is them teasing Aleister Black again because the name was the
Dark Arts Performance Gym,
whatever it was. Yeah, and it was like
the internet moves so quick too. I have to let that be known. Like, how many people knew that?
Chad Gable literally says, quote, "I'm about to master the dark arts of Lucha Libre."
Boom. Thank you.
Like, I think that right there is like, okay, so whose name is on the card? Obviously, when you see that, you have to think it's going to be Malachi Black. Now, guys, just remember, WWE has done this before. They teased Okada, and Okada didn't come to WWE. So this is not a for sure thing where, Aleister Black is coming back to WWE. I do think he is. I'm not dumb.
I mean, now I think the writing's on the wall.
But then what? Chad Gable's going to be this guy that every single time there's an issue, like he's got to start.
Yeah, I was about to say he's always got to take on the new incomer. And are they going to bring him in right now? Like, do you think they would bring him in right at this very moment?
I don't know his contract situation. Tony Khan is fucking around. Tony Khan
Tony don't let nobody know nothing.
Tony Khan, nobody knows. There's too much secrecy, and the thing is, WWE will know, obviously, because Zelina
Right.
Vega's there, and she'll be able to find out, and maybe that's a way to go around certain things. But with Aleister Black, Malachi Black, the fact that he's rotting away in AEW, and let me just be really clear, like, dude, you got people in your company that don't want to be there. Again, how many times do I have to say this when we're live? If you have people in your company who don't want to be there, it's as simple as just letting them go, because the more that you don't put them on TV, and the more, because WWE can tease whatever the hell they want. They could just make these subtle little comments on commentary, despite the fact that he's literally on an AEW contract. They can say whatever they want. But WWE could play that game too, where it's like, okay, they're not going to let Malachi Black go. We know that he's going to come here because X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And then, by the way, we're going to make comments on commentary. Again, they did this with Okada. Okada didn't come, but everybody was listening and everybody saw that. They did the stuff with CM Punk, and supposedly the CM Punk deal didn't happen until like a day of.
Yeah,
but
they were playing into it.
Yeah, they play into it. That's WWE. That's how commentary works. Chad Gable versus Malachi Black would be sick. Zelina Vega being with Malachi Black would be really awesome because they're husband and wife. So obviously I would be happy for them being on TV together. But listen, let's talk about this. Let's kind of like fantasy book for a second. I've already given you my fantasy booking before about Aleister Black going up to be the world championship. But in this event that, in this current time at this exact moment, if Aleister Black comes in and let's say he's free from his contract today, do you put him on TV right away, or do you put him in the Royal Rumble, or what do you do? Because he's probably not going to be part of WrestleMania. It might be too late to be part of WrestleMania because those plans are already in the books.
That I agree. So here's the thing. I can't believe I'm about to say this, because as bad as I want Aleister Black on TV right now, right?
Yeah.
I think you hold off. I think you hold off till sometime after WrestleMania. Let him come in, and you kind of can do the same thing. Maybe not with Chad Gable. Maybe you can do it with somebody else. But you kind of do the same thing with Penta. Kind of get him re-recognized with the audience, right? And when you bring him in, you could potentially have him lead up to SummerSlam. You know what I mean? Have a big match at SummerSlam and whatnot. That's what I would do personally.
I understand what you're saying. I think WWE should probably just get to the point where they do a multi-man ladder match and multi-man for the IC title and US title WrestleMania. Penta, Black, Andrade.
I hear you. I hear you on that. I just don't know if that happens.
That's what I would do. Get everybody on that card, let them wrestle, let them show the fuck off, and then eventually prepare Aleister Black for the world title.
Yeah.
So simple as that.
Yep.
Lot of cool stuff, guys. A lot of cool things happening in wrestling.
For sure.
So I'm excited about it. We are going to end the stream a little bit earlier today, just because I do actually have a very important call with a company looking to sponsor the show.
Oh, no way.
So I do got to get to that, but I do want to shout out many, many people. Myra and Tolino Channel, Justin Kennington, again, True Styles for joining the channel. So many of you guys pulled up and dropped super chats or just left some really great comments. Adam78, and just some people in the chat too who may have not left any super chats or anything, but I recognize you guys are going off in the chat. David Decker, Zay the Goat, Trey Lusato, Gregory Ford, Christian Aguirre. Like, I see you guys, man. I see you guys. Darth Bane.
So many people pulling up, man.
So many of you guys making this live show so incredibly fun. Kevin Schiffman, what's up, my man? Shout out to you. Guys, I'm super excited about what we're doing here on the Ango Show. We'll have clips everywhere, and I'm going to have to get to this call.
I'll be back with a better cord tomorrow.
Yeah, better cord, guys.
Yeah.
Better cord.
We're not going to have this problem no more.
We're going to start calling you Better Cord Billy until you get a better cord.
Better cord Billy. That's fair.
It was funny, though. I'm not going to lie. Your shit froze at one point where it looked so funny. It was like the perfect screenshot. I should use that on the thumbnail.
Dude. Okay.
It's all good. It's all good.
That's
But yeah,
good, man.
ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys sticking around. Tomorrow we're going to talk about NXT. We're going to talk about everything else that's happening.
We'll be
so
back.
much cool stuff happening. And then of course, stay tuned to the channel. More news, more views. Billy TKO on YouTube, Ango. Also, we're on TikTok and Instagram and all that good stuff. And you guys will be seeing clips everywhere because that's what we're going to do. We're going to push this stuff to the moon.
We're gonna push it. We're pushing this to the moon, baby.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Peace.